We got company. Hang on.
What's up everyone, my name is Max and today we'll be taking a look at the 75243, the 20th anniversary Slave 1. Today I honestly just felt like reviewing this ship. The Book of Boba Fett released last year and yeah, that's a long time ago, but considering as the only other option on the market currently is the crappy little $50 version, this one just seemed better. The other options were the Imperial Convex Transport or the Imperial AT Hauler. If you want to see me do those in the future, let me know in the comments. Next week, Thor Love and Thunder will be releasing, so I'm definitely gonna do some Marvel stuff, probably the Web Warriors Ultimate Bridge Battle. Now though, let's get into this set's basic information, and please, excuse my poor English, I'm no native speaker. Anyways, this set released in early 2019 and left the market in late 2020. Since it came in the 20th anniversary line, it was also part of the respective black box art line with the anniversary banner on the side. It originally retailed for $120, if we were to adjust that for inflation, $120 back in 2019 would now be about $137. That's an increase in price of about 13%. The piece count of this one was 1007 pieces, including 4 normal, 1 20th anniversary and 1 carbonite minifigure. A piece count of 1007 pieces together with the retail price of $120 puts us at about 12 cents per piece back in 2019 and around 13.5 cents nowadays. And just like one of the last times, I wasn't able to find the design of this one, so again, Lego, start putting the names of your designers in the fucking set descriptions. It makes it so much easier for me. Now though, let's get into further details, starting with this set's minifigures. Of course, we'll have to start with the main man himself, Boba Fett. This is of course his bespin variant, but not the Cloud City version. This means he's sand blue based, unlike his Tatooine versions that are based on a light bluish grey color, but also doesn't have arm printing like his Slave 1 or Cloud City version. His legs have some very detailed printing, including toe printing, for example, as well as his knee armor covering his knee rockets. We also have hip printing, and the torso's the same one every bespin Boba minifig since like 2012 uses, with his braid on the side and his not so dirty armor. He uses a sand green backpack, and the shoulder cloth he uses is also the more detailed tan orange one and not the plain sand green one. The helmet is super detailed with all of the colors working together very nicely and the base color matching the in-universe version, unlike his Book of Boba Fett counterpart. Under the helmet we have the classic angry clone face. They didn't start using the new Tamora Morrison head and skin tone until 1 year later, so this one still looks kinda meh.
Aren't you afraid the Empire's gonna find out about this little operation? Shut you down? It's always been a danger, but it looms like a shadow over everything we've built here. But things have developed that'll ensure security. I've just made a deal that'll keep the Empire out of here forever.
The next figure we'll look at today is our boy Han Solo. This one is, just like Boba Fett, very similar to his Cloud City version. The main difference though lies at the legs. Here they are completely dark brown with his belt in reddish brown and silver even covering the center part of the legs. There's no side leg printing here like on his Cloud City version. That also excludes the holster, which would have made sense here since the belt on the front is just made to hold that holster. Continuing upwards we have some almost unnoticeable hip printing showing another belt. Above that he wears this dark blue jacket with a white shirt underneath in which he later gets frozen in carbonite. On the jacket itself you can spot all the little pockets and sewing lines and just a lot of detail which also continues on the back. The head works quite well to match Harrison Ford's likeness and the second face fits him even better in my opinion. The hairpiece they made specifically for Han is really good and I have one little problem with it, but I'll get to that when we talk about Han in his carbonite block.
Bounty hunters. We don't need that scum.
Yes, sir.
Those rebels won't escape us.
Reward for the one who finds the Millennium Falcon.
The third figure we'll look at today is Zuckuss. This is the only time we've ever gotten this character in 23 years of Star Wars, and it makes sense. He was only in the background of one scene in The Empire Strikes Back. So I'm not going. We need a remake right now, and also this is quite a good figure. He uses the new skirt piece which was introduced 1 year earlier, and here they didn't just go with printing on the front depicting his armor, but also with some on the back. The torso shows some more of his armor and also the tubes connecting to these little things coming out of his head. On the back you'll be able to spot some more printing like his silver apparatus right here in the middle. The head is a completely new mold specifically made for this figure. It's made of a dark tan with some silver printing for the eyes and breathing holes. Overall this mold is super detailed, and even the back has a bunch of molded nooks and crannies on it to make the figure look even better. And our next figure for today will be Forlom. This is exactly the same version that also came in the 2017 Bounty Hunter Battle Pack. It's nonetheless a good one. I really like that they went with gunmetal grey as a base color for this figure. The orange highlight also makes sure that the figure doesn't feel too boring. The legs aren't anything too spectacular to kind of break the color monotony of the torso. He has these wires running through his stomach interlaced with silver, also continuing on the back. I wish they would have gone with gunmetal grey for the head as well, even though there are a lot of different pictures of this guy showing him with silver and sometimes with a gunmetal grey head. I'd still have preferred a darker color. But still, the head is extremely detailed all around, and for the bug eyes they simply used orange with some dark grey on top of it. Next up I have the frozen carbonite Han Solo. This thing's great, I really like it. They've been using it since 2012 and I only really have one complaint, that being the hair here. This thing still uses the old Han Solo hair. They've been using the new one since 2016, so I hope the next version of this figure will have the updated mold. Still though, a cool piece that gives you the ability to hide a figure on the back of it and can also be loaded into the Slave 1, but we'll get to that later.
We're in the main hangar across from the ship. We're right above you, stand by.
You hear nothing? You're braver than I thought.
Nice, come on.
It's them. Blast them.
The last figure we'll look at today is the 20th anniversary Leia. This figure is honestly quite boring, but since it's a remake of the 1999 version, I'm not too mad about it. The only real difference is the 20 years logo on the back. I'm not the biggest fan of this figure, but in the end, it's just a nice throw-in as an anniversary gift. Now though, let's move away from the figures and onto the actual build. And here we actually have both of the builds. The stand of the figure is obviously just a little throw-in like the Leia, so I'll just skip that and directly cover the Slave 1. First up, we'll look at the cargo/entry area. Everything around it is obviously built in dark red. Thankfully, my dark red bricks haven't broken yet, like a lot of them do otherwise. As you can see, there's no real door to enter the cockpit, but I think they didn't even have that in the UCS version. What you can do though is lift this ramp to reveal the cargo space. As you can see, the ramp hides itself nicely on the roof here, so if you were to leave this open for whatever reason, it wouldn't look too awkward. What you can do now is insert Han Solo into this hole.
That's what she said.
Close it back up, and as you can see, no weird gaps or anything. When we go around the outside, you can spot just a lot more dark red, as well as these two arch pieces on the side here from which these little wing thingies emerge. As you can see, they're mostly grey with some sticky detail up here as well, but there's also this little tan piece on each side, just sprinkling in a little more color. They also have another feature, but I'll talk more about that in a minute. Now looking at the top, in front we have these two guns on each side. Continuing towards the cockpit though, we have a combination of dark green, sand green, light grey and some sticker detail filling up the kinda empty space here. Then you'll be able to spot these two green dots right here. These of course are spring shooters. When we get to the back, I'll show you how they're fired off. The inside of the cockpit is kinda boring. All you have is a seat and a few little control panels in front and attached to the walls. The seat also has another play function, but we'll get to that when I lift the ship up. I also don't know why there's just a hole in the back, honestly, no idea. On the back of the ship we actually have a lot going on. You can spot 4 engines as well as some brick built detail down here and up here. Now they also include something I always really appreciate, a handle. It makes it so much easier to pick up and play with it if you want. The last thing they also have included here is these 2 red pins, and I gotta say, these are probably the best spring shooter triggers I've ever seen, just because they're so unsuspicious. I haven't picked the setup in a while and really had to look for them, so great job there. Now, if I pick the ship up, there's some stuff happening. For one, these little wings fold and the seat in here should turn as well, but as you can see, it doesn't really do that. I don't know if that's a universal problem this version has, or if it's just like that on my model, but if it isn't, it's just something to keep in mind. And now that we've pretty much covered the whole set, let's move on to the final verdict. So, now that we've talked about the whole model, what is my opinion on it? Well, I love it. It's the best version of the Slave 1, ignoring the UCS one. It's got some great figures like Zuckuss, Forlom, and even just Boba Fett himself. And let's say you want a Slave 1 for your Book of Boba Fett or even your Mando Season 2 collection, this one works great for that as well. Now, something to keep in mind is that if you want to get the set nowadays, it won't be $120 anymore. If you want to get a set new on Bricklink, it'll be between $170 to $200. That's a lot of money, of course, but if you have it and don't want to buy the new small one, I'd say get this. It's a great build and I really like it. Overall, I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10 with a buying recommendation. And that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more of me, check out my shorts channel where I upload every other day. And until next week, goodbye!